Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vanshrushibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyah Sarvopaplavarahitah Pragnanaganah Pratyagartho Brahmaivahamasmi Brahmaivahamasmi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashyakatau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om. Mantra number 11. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam. Nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agnihi. Nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agnihi. Tameva bhantamanubhati sarvam. Tameva bhantamanubhati sarvam. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam. Nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agnihi. Na tatra suryo bhati kutoya. Na tatra suryo bhanti. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam. Nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agnihi. Tameva bhantamanubhati sarvam. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. The word light in Shastra is used for revelation, that which is known, the source of knowledge. So when it is says, Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati, it is that ultimate source of knowledge by whom or because of whom or with everything else becomes known. Jyotihi, Atma Jyotihi. Atma is the ultimate source of knowledge, means that is Gnana Swarupa. That is a point. There is a beautiful verse in our Shastra. It is called Ekashloki. In the Ekashloki, there is a dialogue between teacher and student. The teacher asked that, what is that light because of which you see the objects? The student says it is during the day it is sun, and at night it is moon or fire or lightning. Through that light I see these things. Now then the teacher says, what is that light through which you see these lights? The light of the sun is revealed. The light of the sun is known. The light of the sun is illumined by what? Then the student says, it is through the light of my eyes. Then again the teacher asks, with what light you see the light of the eyes? You see the light of the eyes. In other words, you see that you see, and you see that you don't see also. What is that light? Because of which you know, you see, you know what you see, and you know what you don't see. Then the student says, it is the light of my mind. The mind is a source of knowledge, because of which the capacity to know the forms and the colors of the eyes are known. They are rated. That way you can say, mind, the light of the mind reveals the light of the eyes. The light of the eyes reveal the light of the sun and the moon and the fire and lightning. And the light of the sun and the moon and the fire and lightning reveals the objects. Understand the word revealing? It reveals. Then it says, when the mind is asleep, then what is that light by which you see the light of the mind? Just as what is the light because of which you see that the eyes see, and with which you see that the eyes don't see. Means eyes, through eyes you know, and through eyes you don't know, but that is known to what mind? Now the question comes, when the mind is asleep, means what is that light because of which you know? The mind knows and the mind doesn't know. What is the light that illumines the light of the light of the mind? What is it that in whose light the mind shines? Then the student says, it is, it's a one sloka question answer. It is a light of the consciousness. It is a light of the awareness. The awareness reveals to me whether the mind knows or doesn't. And now the question comes, what is the light because of which you see the light of the awareness? What reveals the awareness? The answer is nothing. Awareness reveals itself. You don't require any other light. Yes. Why? Because awareness is self-revealing. Awareness is self-illuminating. Awareness is self-shining. Understand the word shining, revealing, light, jyoti. Because of which you know, it is this ultimate the thing because of which you know that this is the source of ultimate knowledge, absolute knowledge. Puja Swamiji used to give this example, very beautiful. The coffee in the steel mug is hot. Why? Because the steel tumbler is hot. Typical South Indian example. They have a special mug for coffee, steel tumbler. So the coffee in the steel tumbler is hot because the surface of the steel tumbler is hot. But why the surface of the steel tumbler is hot? Because the water surrounding it is hot. But the water is hot. Why? Because the vessel in which the water is kept, its surface is hot. Pateli we call it, that steel jug or whatever jar is hot. So the steel vessel is hot, therefore the water is hot, and therefore the surface of the steel tumbler is hot, and therefore the coffee is hot. Okay. But how come the steel vessel is hot? Because the fire below it is hot. Then how come the fire below is hot? Fire below is hot because fire is hot, full stop. Why? This is bhati. So you can say, anubhati, tameva bhantam anubhati sarva. The water is hot, the still tumbler is hot, coffee is anuhot. And the still tumbler is also anuhot because the water in the vessel is hot. Water in the vessel is also anuhot because the vessel itself is hot. The vessel is hot because it is hot. No, it is anuhot because ultimately the fire is hot. But the fire is anuhot because of what? Fire is hot. That means heat is a swarupa of the fire. Ultimately, the padarthas, the objects of the world, bhati, they shine. They are revealed in the light. The opaque objects are revealed in the light of sun and the moon and the lightning and the fire, etc. So they are anubhati. Sunlight is bhati. Moonlight is in a way bhati. Actually, moon is also anubhati scientifically, but lightning is also bhati. So let us accept at the moment. And the fire is also bhati. But that they are shining, that they are the source of illumination, that they are light. Who knows? How do you come to know? What enlightens you to know that the sun is a source of light? That is because of the eyes. For a blind person, born blind person, there is hot sun, all right, but there is no shining sun. There is no bright sun, So in the light of the eyes, Suryaha anubhati, Chandraha anubhati, Tarakani anubhati, Vidyutaha anubhati. They shine after. Shine after means they are revealed. Their existence is proven. They are revealed to you. Now, the eyes are also seeing something, but the capacity is there in a borrowed bhati. The mind bhati, eyes anubhati. Eyes, therefore, eyes bhati and sunlight anubhati. Sunlight bhati, objects anubhati. But the mind itself is not the source of light. Understand the source of light. Mind itself is not self-revealing. Mind itself doesn't give knowledge of itself. There is a Sakshi Chaitanya. Therefore, Atma is called Sakshi Chaitanya. It is the source of knowledge, because of which the mind is known. You know what you know, and you know what you don't know. It is because of the mind you see what you see, and you see what you don't see. It is because of a light you see what is self-shining and what is not self-shining. What is opaque, what is brilliance, that you know. Ultimately, in the light of consciousness, in the awareness, you are aware of mind being aware of something and mind not being aware of something. And what makes you aware of that awareness? Self. It is self-revealing, self-illuminating fact. Svata siddha swayam prakasha asti bhati, that it is there and it is self-revealing. It is in a way self-shining. You don't need any other agency to reveal it to you. Understand? Therefore, that is tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. It is in the light of awareness. It is due to shine of awareness. The mind shines. And through mind, eyes shine. Through eyes, sun and the moon shine. Through sun and the moon, the object shine. So the whole world is anubhati in the light of awareness, in the light of consciousness. And the consciousness is revealed by itself. I know I am. I don't need any agency. I don't say, I think, therefore I am. No. Even if you don't think, you know I am. There are so many non-thinking fellows who are overconfident or overconscious about their existence, all non-thinking fellows. Some obsession, so I really wonder what this Maya is, This fellow I know, he is earning so meager for last 15, 17 years. And his children got educated, became engineer. He has an obsession, condition. No, the child got an offer from teaching offers, academic in college. No, we should not work. We are not slave of anybody. You want to do business. You have been trying to do business for 20 years and then it doesn't work. We keep on telling, live that business. Live. These are all non-thinking fellows. So non-thinking also knows I am. And you want to impose his existence, his self on others. Anyway, coming back to this, tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. Everything's as though shines after. Just as everything is hot after the fire. You put a coffee tumbler. Where do you put? You put a coffee tumbler in a hot water. And the hot water is in a hot vessel. And the vessel is on the stove or the gas. Then that becomes hot. So, and fire is hot. It is fire that is hot, because of which the vessel, the water, the tumbler, and the coffee are hot. Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. So also, everything exists because it is the consciousness which is swata siddha, which is self-revealing, self-existent fact, and because of which everything exists. It is the very satvastu, Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam asti. Because of its existence, it as though lends it existence to everything, and it reveals or it gives light to everything. Okay. Now, what is this everything? Is this everything different from the consciousness? Or that existence, I agree, that everything exists in the borrowed existence from that Sadatma. And that Sadatma is self-shining. When Sadatma is self-shining, self-existing, and it is the thing because of which everything exists, what is that everything? When there is only Sadatma. All the way to show that, all the way there is Sadatma. And whatever everything is technically mithya. The next mantra, teacher concludes the teaching. Very beautifully, Bhagavad Pad Shankaracharya very beautifully summarizes how he introduces this mantra. Yad Jyotisham Jyotihi Brahma. That Brahman which was revealed as the light of the light, that Brahman, Tadeva Satyam. That Brahman is Satyam. And Sarvam Tadvikaram. Everything else is modifications of Brahman. Now, the question comes, what do you mean by modification? Paneer and yogurt and ghee, all these are, and buttermilk, all these are modifications of milk. So also whole the world is modification of Brahman. This is no. Yad vikaram vacharambhanam vikaro namadeyam. Vattigetyeva satyam. Vikaro namadeyam. Namadeya matra. Anrutam idam etadartham. What is this? that so-called everything is Anrutam. Anrutam means in between. It is and it is not also, in a way. It is and it is not. It is only Vakalambanam. Technically, we can say that everything else is mithya. To explain how it is mithya, to explain how that everything is in really not there, Etadartham vistarena hetutaha pratipad. That was revealed earlier. Everything else is mithya, was very beautifully explained, and we saw in details in the earlier mantras. Which mantra? The very first mantra of this Mundaka. Avisannihitam guhacharam nama sarvam sarpitam ej pranadimishach echat janatha sadasatvarenyam param vignanat varishtham prajanam. The very first mantra we have seen. That same meaning is being concluded. It's a tradition. Sometimes teachers do. They start with something, and the same thing is there in conclusion. They reveal that vastu at the beginning, and in conclusion also, they reveal the same vastu. So same, punaha upasamharati. It is again summarized. Not summarized, it was summarized earlier and again summarized. No. It was told, that is told again in the summary part, in the end of it. Okay, look at this mantra. Brahmaivedamamrutam purastat. Brahmaivedamamrutam purastat. Brahma paschat brahma dakshinataschottarena. Brahma paschat brahma dakshinataschottarena. Adashchordvam cha prasrutam brahmaiveda. Brahma Adashchordvam cha prasutam brahmaiva idam vishwamidham varishtham brahmaivedam amrutam purastad brahma paschad brahma dakshinataschottarena brahmaivedam amrutam purastad brahma Paschat Brahma Dakshinataschottarena Adashchordvam cha prasrutam brahmaiveda idam vishwam Adashchordvam cha prasrutam brahmaiveda idam vishwam idam varishtham. Look at that. What does it say? Okay. What it is? Brahma eva idam. Okay. Brahma eva idam. This is Brahma. Idam means all this. All that you objectify, all that you see, all that you hear, smell, anything. That which is available for objectification. In the mind also objectified. Idam. And that Brahma is what? Amrutam. Brahmaiva idam amrutam. Means amrutam Brahma eva idam. Amrutam means immortal Brahma. Alone is all this. Okay. Amrutam, one meaning is immortal. Another meaning, colloquial meaning, amrutam means nectar. Amrutam means happiness. Anandam Brahma eva idam. Everything is Anandam. Okay, all this is Ananda Brahma. Remember, whenever you have any altercation or argument with your wife, remember, idam is Amrutam Brahma. She may appear to you, or for her, he may appear as a poison. She may feel that way. But remember, that is Amrutam Brahma. Okay? Husband is Amrutam Brahma, son is also Amrutam Brahma. Wife is also Amrutam Brahma. It is not only husband is Amrutam Brahma. Okay? Wife is also Amrutam Brahma. And sometimes I have to question. Mother-in-law is also Amrutam Brahma. Father-in-law also is Amrutam Brahma. Okay? Everything is Amrutam Brahma. Which Amrutam? Our vernacular Amrutam. Anandam Brahma. It is there. How we'll see that? Purastad Brahma. Purastad in front of you is Brahman. Paschad Brahma, behind of you is also Brahman. Dakshinascha, Dakshinatascha, Uttarenascha. In the south and in the north is Brahma. Means all four directions, whatever is Brahma. In Shastra, this Dakshina, when it is said as a dik to you, it means on the right. Okay? And when it is said Uttara, means, when you're left, means Uttara. This is because this is how we were. We always faced east. When you face east, obviously right is south, left is north. So when it says in the left and right is Brahman, means what? It says right and left. Right and left is Brahman, means in south is Brahman, north is Brahman. Front is east. Back, if the front is east, then the back is west. So in east, west, south, north, in all direction, it is Brahma. Okay, but then what about, he says, Adashordvam cha prasrutram Brahma. Adaha, down below, is also Brahman. Okay. Urdhvam also is Brahman. Below and above is Brahman. That means in all six directions, left, right, front, behind, above, below, everything in all direction is Brahma. And idam vishwam is varishtam Brahma eva. This Vishwa, which Vishwa? Idam Vishwa. Let us keep the Vishwam word as Vishwam as now. You can say Idam Vishwam, means the world. This world is Varishtam Brahma, means most exalted Brahma. There are two adjectives, not adjectives, but two lakshanas, two swarupas of Brahman revealed. Amrutam Brahma, Varishtam Brahma. So that is immortal Brahman, and it is most exalted Brahman. So the whole translation is, all that is in front of you is immortal Brahma. All that is behind you, at the back of you, is immortal Brahma. All that is on the right of you, means in the south, is Brahman. All that is on your left, also that is Brahman. Everything is Brahman. And Adashordvam cha Brahma. Adashordvam cha prasrutam Brahma. All that is above and below, what? Prasrutam Brahma. That Brahman spreads, Brahman pervades above as well as below. And idam Vishwam, this world is nothing but Varishtham Brahma, is nothing but exalted Brahma. Okay? Look that. This Brahman is including behind and above. Okay? So, Jagat means, you can say, world means all that is town bound, all that is Vikari is immortal Brahma. I'll explain to you, but this sentence, if you look at the Vachyartha, if you just see only the direct meaning, it becomes contradictory. That Brahman is immortal. When it is said immortal, that means it is not subject to death. And when it is said not subject to death, that means it is not subject to be born also. The death is, one side of the death is birth, and birth is death. Immortal means avikari. Because so-called birth is nothing but death of previous condition. Birth of the curd is nothing but death of the milk. And death of the milk is birth of the curd in a way. So whole Jagat is, whenever say something is new created, something is born, anything that is born implies that something has died. And some modification has taken place. So when the Brahman is immortal, that means it has no birth and no death. It means there is no modification whatsoever. No modification whatsoever means what? That means Brahman has no modification. What does it mean? That means between birth and death also there is no modification. The asti, jayate, vardhate, viparinamate, no modification at all. And now look at this contradiction. Just listen now. Why you should know, this thing, that you have to understand the lakshyarth of the Shastra. It has to be studied from a competent teacher. It is not something to be read only. And you just cannot translate it and understand. That if you translate it, and if you don't have a competent teacher, it will look full of contradictions. That's what some English authors found it in those days. So one of them went on saying it's a prattling of rishis. This is all contradiction. Look at this self-contradiction. Idam sarvam jagat varishtham brahman. That's what the mantra says. This entire world is the exalted Brahman. Now the question comes, what is world? World is something which is constantly changing, which is constantly modifying. Now, how can be changeless Brahman be the world, which is constantly changing? How can this constantly changing world be the non-changing Brahman? Which Brahman that was said in the beginning, Amrutam Brahma. The world is constantly dying. There is nothing permanent, in this world. Bahi nissarti nishvase ko vishvasa. The breath that goes out. How can you trust that breath whether it will come back or not? There is nothing and nothing permanent in this world. Nothing. And you say, immortal Brahman is everything. Brahma eva idam sarva. Vishwam. What is Vishwam? Vishwa means all that is known and unknown. And if you look at it subjectively, the word Vishwa, Sthula Sharira Abhimani Atma Vishwa Ityuchate. If you have studied in Tattva Bodha, that this my body, when I am in a waking state, when I am aware of my physio-psycho complex, and that whole persona is Brahman. What you are aware, physically I am aware that I am fat and thin and long and short and black and white and etc. etc. Beautiful and ugly and all that. That is Vishwam. Okay. The body and its attribute is I. That is Vishwa. The Sukshma Sharira and its attribute also is I. I am angry, I am frustrated, I am jealous, I am agitated, I am irritated, all that is I. And not only that, I am thirsty, I am hungry, prana. That is also I. Attributes of Sukshma Sharira, hunger and thirst of the prana belongs to me. And all seeing, I am blind and I think I have gone a little deaf and I am short of hearing, etc. is also I. That is all Vishwam. And that is Brahman. How can it be? If we say this, Mano Buddhi Ahankar Chitta Ninaham Nacha Shrotra Jihve, they keep chanting this and keep saying this, I am not. And he says, Idam Sarvam, Vishwa Idam Sarvam, Varishtam Brahman. Shruti says what? Idam Sarvam, Idam Vishwam, Varishtam Brahma. All that is Vishwa. Your mind is also part of Sukshma Sharira. Your memory, your recollections, not only emotions, your knowledge, your ignorance, your forget, Bhatta Smriti Gnanam Apohanam. The knowledge, the forgetfulness, everything is Brahman. How this is, we have to understand. This is where the wisdom of our rishis come. You have to understand Samanadhikaranyam. This is where the mithya comes. Understand? The mithya you can understand provided you understand Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. Everything is Brahman. But everything is Brahman. Where is everything? Yes, there is everything. And to understand this sentence, to analyze, there is called, the prakriya or methodology of understanding is called Samanadhikaranyam. What is Samanadhikaranyam? That is Bhinna pravrutti nimittanam samana vibhaktika padanam. The words, padas, pada means suptingandam padam, but I'll just use the word, the translated word. Word in the same case, vibhakti. In the same, sometimes gender. And bhinna vibhaktikanam bhinna pravrutti nimitta. Even though their individual meaning is different, but they imply, they reveal only one vastu. Then the relationship between this pada is called Samana Adhikaranam. Because their basis or their adhisthanam, the thing that is revealed by all of them is one vastu. Okay, that is called Samanadhikaranyam. This Samanadhikaranam is again 4 types, Information, like of course you should know how this. One of them, Adhikaranam, but how that we see. What is Samanadhikaranyam? Bada Adhyasa Visheshana Aikya Vishayam. Bada Samanadhikaranyam, Adhyasa Samanadhikaranyam, Vishesha Samanadhikaranyam, Visheshana Samanadhikaranyam, Aikya Vishayam Samanadhikaranyam. Okay? Okay. What is Badha Samanadhikaranyam? This is where it comes here. There is one word is mithya. And resolving that mithya into what is real, that is called Badha Samanadhikaranyam. What is this? This fellow says, like if I give this is easy to give. Puja Swami Chinmayanji's example, this ghost is nothing but post. This ghost is nothing but post. In India, there used to be post box. It would be cylindrical, and on the top, it will be covered like a hat, hat, round. So it looked like a human being. I mean, just a short human being. It appeared, of course, red color and all that. But in a light, in a twilight or in a dark night, that was actually post box. But that post, he thought, my God, there is nobody, and this fellow at a distance is standing still, and it is ghost. That when you say this ghost is post, Sthanuhu ayam purushaha. This Sthanu and Purusha, both are in Samanadhikaranya. They are meaning differently. But one of them is mithya, is resolved into what is Satyam. This ghost is post box, you can say post. But that post is real with reference to the ghost, that is mithya. So that is called Badha Samanadhikaranya. You negate one, you appreciate another one as mithya, and then therefore you appreciate mithya as mithya only when you appreciate satyam as satyam. That is called Badha Samanadhikaranya. Second is Adhyasa Samanadhikaranya. There is a picture in the home, and this fellow says, who is this? Then this fellow said, this is my father. Actually, it is only a piece of paper. Piece of paper, but this person says, this is my father. My father, and this is my father. So the father is, or you can say, this is Vishnu, this is Hanumanji, whatever you say. One Vigraha. You say this is Hanumanji. This is Hanumanji is what? Samanadi, Adhyasa, deliberately. Or you can say symbolizing few things. That's still our Shani Devata is better. Nowadays, everywhere there is Shani, So, if you see Shani, there is nothing but black stone. And they pour oil on that black stone. What is this? They say, this is Shani Devata. That is called Adhyasa Samadhi. You superimpose something on that which is not there. So Pratika Upasana is Samanadhikaranya. Atasmin tad buddhi. You know it is not there, but you have that bhava. To an Indian, devout Indian, any book of knowledge is what? Saraswati. But that is not Saraswati, But then, even that which is not Saraswati, in that vastu we have Saraswati buddhi, Saraswati bhava. That is called Adhyasa Samanadhikaranya. The third one is Visheshana Aikya Vishaya. Visheshana Samanadhikaranya. What is Visheshana Samanadhikaranyam? You say, This big yellow flower is rose. Big yellow flower is rose. So big is an adjective to rose. But it will be in the same vibhakti. Mahat pushpam. This is big flower. Red flower. Or yellow flower. Mahat pitam pushpam. The big yellow flower is ayam mahat pitam pushpam is kamalam. This big yellow flower is lotus or lily. So these are three: big and yellow and flower are adjective to lily. That is called Visheshana Samana. And the last one is Aikya Vishaya Samana. You have different words, but they imply only one vastu, both of them. Neither negation, you negate the virodha in these two words, and they both imply what is common. What is that? Soyam Devadattaha. Earlier I had told, I think I told in Panchadashi class. This is that Devadatta. Or this Vishuddhananda is our Kanti. When Mr. Kantilal left home at the age of 14 or 15. And obviously they looked for him and couldn't find him. After 30 years, 35 years, when Kantilal was around 50, somebody met a Swami. Somehow he felt familiar with the Swami. Swami asked him questions. Where do you come from? What do you do? And then he probed further. Oh, that village. Where do you live in that village? But he looked as though he is just casually asking. But having answered and finished the dialogue, while he went to room, he just followed a question. Why did Swamiji ask all these questions? In that small village, where do I live? What is the name of my street? Who else lives in my street? If he doesn't know me, how can he know the people knowing him? It looks like some connection. And he kept on feeling, this person looks familiar. I somehow know that I have met Swami. But then he thought, in my life, I never met a Swami. First Swami I am meeting. There is something. And suddenly he discovers what? This Vishuddhananda is our Kanti. That Kanti who left at 15 is Vishuddhananda. So in those two statements, the opposite part you negate and arrive at only one Aikya Vishaya. This Vishuddhananda is Ayam Deshakala Vishishtaha. At this place, at this time, in this clothes, with this beard and with this mala and with this vibhuti. This Vishuddhananda is our Kanti. That Kanti which was there in that village and then at the age of 12 or 15 and all that. So both of them cannot be one. But you negate the opposite part which doesn't match and discover there is something which is same. That is called, you have to Aikya Vishayam Samani. That person, Tad Desha, Tad Kala, Tad Vastu Vishishtaha, Devadatta. That Devadatta or Kanti of that time, that place, and their look, etc. is Oyam, Ayam Devadattaya. Tad Devadattaha is Ayam Vishuddhananda. Devadattaya Vishuddhananda hai. That is Samanadhikaran. Aikya Vishya. You negate Viruddha Ansha Parityagena. So, Vachyartha Amsha Parit. Vachyartha you negate. That and this. But then, and Viruddha you negate. Paraspara Viruddha Ansha Parityagena Samanya Anshasya Prapti. but there is something Saman, the person, and to know that person is Saman. Now, what is the Samanadhikarinam between Idam Vishwam Mahad Brahma? This Vishwa is that Mahad Brahma or Varishtam, is most exalted Brahma. Exalted is Visheshana to Brahman. But how can this Vishwam be Brahman? It cannot be Visheshana Visheshya Bhavaha, nor even Aikya, nor Adhyas. You are not superimposing. Just as in Shaligrama Vishnu Buddhi, there's a superimposition, deliberate superimposition. Or in Narmadeshwari, Shiva Abhishek, Shiva Adhyaropa. In some stone from Narmade, you see Shiva, do Pran Pratishtha and do Shiva, Narmada Parthive. But that is also not there. It is only one Samanadhikaranyam, Badha Samanadhikaranyam. What is Badha Samanadhikaranyam? That whatever is Idam is Mithya. Okay? This equation, they said this is that. Jagat is Brahman. Okay? So Jagat J is Brahman B. How can J be B? Vachyartha is Virodha. Okay? Now, this equation works when you know that one is Mithya, another is Satyam. What is Mithya and Satyam? What is the relationship between Brahman and Jagat? Okay. So, the equation can work only when you negate that which is Mithya, that which is only for the name's sake, then it will work. How? Listen this. Look at this. All these is gold. Our Puja Swami's example. 1 ton of gold and 100,000 ornaments. So when you say all this is gold, so what does all this mean? Oh, 25,000 chains and 15,000 earrings and 10,000 nose rings and 5,000 bangles and all this. How can this 5,000 and 15,000 and 25,000 and 20,000 be one? Gold is only one. All these ornaments are gold. So ornament is what? Mithya. Means what? Ornament is in the borrowed existence of gold. Understand? Bengal is in the borrowed existence of gold. Gold gives existence. So that they are called Mithya. That which exists in a borrowed existence, that reality of that Vastu is Mithya. Vastu is not Mithya, understand? It may have utility. Word by word, Mithya, we do not deny the utility of it. Usefulness, it may be useful, but its reality is Mithya. Brahman, then what is Satyam? That it provides existence to that. That provider is Satyam. When you say ornaments are Mithya, Mithya cannot stand on its own. Mithya is something which exists in a borrowed existence. From where it borrows existence, all the ornaments are borrowing existence from whom? Then the answer is gold. So all the ornament is gold. That means so-called ornament is Mithya. They are technically called as Mithya. The reality is Mithya. Okay? It is called Mithya. The translation of Mithya is Mithya. Okay? English translation of Mithya is Mithya. Don't say illusion. Don't say delusion. Illusion, delusion have different meaning. Mithya means you see it as it is. In both the cases, illusion and delusion, you see something which is not there or which is something more than what it is or less than what it is. That is all delusion. But here you see something which actually doesn't exist. And it may exist. It is existing. We don't deny the existence of a vastu. Ornament is mithya doesn't mean they are not there. And I also, when I say mithya, it doesn't mean they are not useful. When I say they are on mithya, it doesn't mean they are bad or ugly or not beautiful. Our great president, Dr. Radhakrishnan of India, who was a PhD in philosophy, and he didn't follow this, understood Vedanta well. He says, how can these Vedantis say or call this beautiful world as mithya? It is the beauty is expression of Ishvara. How can anything that is expression of Ishvara be mithya? Because Ishvara itself is mithya. The status of Ishvara is mithya. Ultimate reality is Brahman. When Narayana says, I am, that I am belongs to Satchidananda Brahma. When Rama says, I am Rama, Rama is all right, but I am is Brahman. That Rama, the status of Rama is superimposed. It's incidental, not real. We'll see that, of course, in this mantra when we explain further. So, mithya is this vastu. Okay, that is called badha saman. You negate it. What you negate? You negate the reality of it. Sometimes you negate the very existence of it and or perception of it. And sometimes even if you perceive, you don't give reality. What is an example? Rope snake. This snake is rope. How can snake be rope? Both are of different qualities. Similarly, this Jagat is Brahman. Brahman is Avikari. How can Jagat Vikari be Brahman? So how can the snake be rope? You negate the snake. What do you negate? The reality, independent existence of a snake. That means it is there because of a rope. And thereafter you may not see the snake at all. But in some cases, blue sky, round sky, earth being flat, sun setting on the earth, you use the word, you see it. There the snake may disappear. Here blue sky doesn't disappear. But there is a cognitive appreciation that this is not the realism. It may appear, but it is really not there. So the Jagat may continue to appear. It may be useful. So it use it, but by useful to what? Of the same reality, that is body. They say, everything is Brahman, then why do you want to eat? Everything is Brahman, why don't you cross the wall if Brahman is everywhere? why you need a door? Nonsense. Brahman is everywhere. You say you are Brahman, and Brahman is everywhere. Why you want to cross, open the door and go? Why don't you go from the wall? This is a question they ask. See, this is Mananam. When I say everywhere there is Brahman, who walks? Why should Brahman walk? When it is everywhere, there is no question of walking over. What walks is different. It's a Vyavaharik Satta. And that body cannot pass through the wall. It has the same degree of reality. Understand? So that is Badam. You may continue seeing the blue sky, but you know that really it is not there. That is called Mithya. Understand? Mithya Jagat. So when it says, first, with the whatever is the Brahman. That means Nam Rupa is because of, in the light of, in the borrowed existence of consciousness. Chaitanya Brahman. Jat Jyotisham Jyoti. The light of the light is because of which everything lights up. Okay? You know all the ornaments are mithya, but doesn't mean you don't see them there onwards. They don't disappear like a snake. And they are not useful because everything is mithya. Hum to Brahma hai, mithya ko kya karna hai. I am Brahman. What's the use of this mithya? But then they can never be useful to Satyam Brahman. And Satyam Brahma does not require any usefulness of anything. They will certainly be useful to the body. So as long as you have a body and you have to do something, you earn and have it. Nothing wrong in it. But mithya means not there. It is reality is negated. Whole world is Brahman. That means reality of the world is negated. We will see something more in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om.